Hello, everyone, to yet another enlightening episode of Tanvision Holistic Health Instagram Live series. I am so thrilled that you all are joining us today live for what promises to be a fascinating conversation on immunization, understanding the power within. I'm absolutely delighted to have us with us once again, the extraordinary Dr. Al-Hasawi, whose unique perspective in body healing brings profound understanding with every health topic that we cover. Now, many people who already know Dr. Nada, but many of us, many people might be joining us for the very first time. I'd like to introduce Dr. Nada for all of you. So Dr. Nada holds a PhD in body healing and has established herself as a pioneering scientist in the field of holistic healing. She's a respected professor, accomplished author, and influential global speaker whose groundbreaking research has revolutionized our understanding of the body's natural healing processes. Of course, her credentials and her wealth of knowledge goes way beyond than just the few words that I have just spoken. But I'm sure once you get to know and join us every month, I'm sure you will get to know her much more better and understand what the message is out of this conversation. So without further ado, I would like to dive straight into our very first conversation or question. What is the core difference or real difference between immunization and vaccination? Because many people might be confused here.
Actually, the vaccination and immunization are interchangeable terms, however, they are different. Vaccination is meant by the act of receiving the vaccine. Okay. So when a person is vaccinated means he will get the vaccine.
Okay.
Or the injection. Now, immunization is meant by the process of becoming immune, because once the person gets the vaccine, it means that something will happen in his body to make him immunized against a specific disease.
Sure.
So usually people, they get the specific vaccine which will give them immunity against a specific disease, and it means the immunization is the result. So it's a process of being immunized against that specific disease. So by vaccination, for all of us, use vaccine to stimulate the immune system. So from the word, we are working here on the immune system. So it's a matter of stimulating the immune system in order to protect us against a specific disease or infection.
So our next question is the timeline. I want to understand the timeline of human vaccine, what it is exactly.
Yeah, it is like the history of the vaccination, which is, to me, it's a great achievement by humans, which, you know, they have the highest value in developing vaccine. It's not an easy process. What I found that beside producing immunity, it's the herd immunity that people in a specific country or region, herd immunity can lead to eradication of a specific disease. And one of the achievements in 1980, the whole world was eradicated from the smallpox. However, still there is eradication campaign against polio and measles. The work is carrying on. I thought to mention at least the first physicians, this is on the 18th century, the start of the vaccine. Yeah, again, it's the smallpox, which is interesting. That was on 1796.
So it came from 1796 to 9. Oh my God.
Imagine. And now the latest vaccination was in 2023. I mean the achievement, this is the market. Yeah, so first one was again smallpox by physician Edward Jenner. And in 19th century, that was in 1881, the first vaccination against anthrax. And that is dangerous infection. It's caused by a bacteria called Bacillus anthracis. And that was by Louis Pasteur. In 1884 to 1885, that means the duration of the work. First vaccine against cholera. And that was by Jimmy Ferran. So it's interesting. So at least to mention, a couple of people who started with this, important value, which actually saved, humanity at that
Humanity,
time.
yeah, humanity at that time.
It's important, yeah. So I
Yes.
would also mention Corona because, we suffered from Corona. That was in
Yes.
2020, and the latest was 2023, and that is against a disease called chikungunya, if you heard about it. It's also a viral disease caused by chikungunya virus.
Heard about it, chikungunya. Is it a mosquito-based thing?
It's a viral. It's a
It's a
virus.
viral, chikungunya. Yes,
But
yes,
it is
yes.
transmitted, you are right. It is a
Yes.
viral, but transmitted by a mosquito or something. Yeah.
Mosquitoes.
Timeline is meant by the history of vaccines. It's a list, long
Correct.
list, which I really,
Yes.
I enjoyed, going through
Researching,
this. And
diving deep into it.
yeah,
Because then again, the values are shine here of those people who
yeah,
started this journey for the humanity to thrive. That is the timeline. And thank you very much for letting us know where it began and where it ended. I was so surprised when you told me about the smallpox. And from where the actual journey began, it was in late 1800s and it was completely eradicated by 1980s. It took 200 plus years for this disease to completely be eradicated in from our world, and it is
took a
such
long
a
time.
marvelous achievement. You mentioned about polio. I think we moved a little bit, but I want to highlight a little bit. So when polio vaccinations were, I remember it so vividly because I was still a kid, and polio drops were introduced, and
Yes,
they were oral drops,
drops and then
and
vaccine
then vaccine.
after.
But when I
Yeah,
was growing up, we had the drops. And
yeah, me
I
too.
remember it so well because there was a TV campaign happening. And in those days, we used to have only 3 or 4 channels in our television. And this campaign was running simultaneously in almost all the channels that were being seen. So the Hindi and the English channel. So they used to show this thing, and they used to mention that there is a phone number that you need to call to find out which location in your city will be the person sitting to give
Yeah,
this drops. So I
yeah,
remember that there was a campaign behind, in my area where I was growing up, and there was some doctors sitting by a table, and we had to stand in a queue. My mom was having 2 kids with her, and then they gave us drops. I remember it really, really vividly. But now, of course, it has come down to an injection level. But when we were growing up, it was the drops.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
let me just correct this. Yeah, this is interesting. Actually, the vaccination, even the oral drops is vaccine. So there are different ways of getting the vaccine itself. However, no, it's the opposite for system V. First, it was
Okay.
the IV vaccination
Uh-huh.
and then oral. So oral is the
Okay.
new one.
Oral is the new one because I remember I got
According to the
the
timeline. Yeah.
okay,
Yes.
I got the drops because at that time polio was becoming an epidemic in India. I remember it so
Yeah.
clearly. So they
Yeah.
had to roll these vaccines out and make it accessible to everyone, even in those tiny little villages everywhere in India. Huge campaign it was. I remember that.
So now almost eradicated in India.
I hope so
Almost.
because I
Yeah.
hope so. I hope so.
Yeah. It
Again,
takes
as you said,
time.
it's a herd immunization campaign. I would say. So I'm sure,
Yeah.
if not now, another 10 years, 20 years, hopefully the world will be polio free as well.
Yeah. And maybe some people, I think they have the value also to develop even the existing vaccine. Like
Mm,
some people, they would use the same drugs for
mm,
other diseases. And
mm-hmm,
some of the drugs, they look like from when they are like from after they are in the market, some of the drugs they might have side effects, and after that, some people they will think to use the same drug to affect
mm,
other disease. So some people they would do this. So I think the eradication could be faster than before. Yeah, due to technology, and it's completely different
I
than
think this
before.
is why there was a big debate during the COVID time. There was a huge debate happening that it takes so many years to develop and test the vaccine and to develop it and then roll it out in the market. And suddenly there was a big debate happening that how come just 6 months
Yes,
ago this COVID started and everybody is talking about the vaccine already being rolled out.
and the side
So
effects are there
the side
also.
effects and everything. But like, I remember when COVID actually took a hold, I would say the summer of 2020, Bahrain was, in fact, in the Gulf, it was, by I think November end December, we already had the first rollout of the vaccines already. So
Yes,
I
I remember.
remember, yeah, so by 2020 December, my husband and I both, we got the first, in the month of December we got the first two vaccines already, the first dose. So people were asking, in fact in India it was still about a year and a half later it was rolled out. And I
Wow.
clearly remember when I went to India in January of 2022, we had already, my husband and I, we already received our booster shots. We had already received them. So we
The
had to
second
have
one.
the booster as well, like the second plus the
Yeah.
booster, the third one.
Ah, okay, okay.
So we got that booster shot and we traveled to India during that time. And we had the certification saying that we had to have, for our travels, we had to have that certificate of that we've received the medication. And wherever we were traveling within India, even if you're going to the metro or anything, they were checking our certificate. And everyone who read our certificate is like, oh my God, you've already got your booster shot. They had not even got the second dose. We had already received the booster
Mm.
shot here. So that was
Ah.
January of 2022. So that is why there was a huge debate happening that what is the research behind it. But in my opinion, it was like every single person who is behind creating that vaccine, it is their highest value and they're doing this for the community. So
Of
again,
course.
this is a huge thing, and whoever, if somebody is working behind it, huge thank you to everyone who has put in the
We
efforts of this. We are all grateful. So moving on now to our next question, I would like to know about the overview of our immune system. Can you please take us through that?
Immunity is meant by defending our body against foreign or what you call dangerous invaders, like the microorganisms. And microorganisms there are different microorganisms. There is bacteria, there is fungus, there is viruses, and also the parasites, which like worms, and the cancer cells. This is interesting as invader because it's abnormal cells. They are abnormal cells. And also the invader could be transplanted organs or tissues. Sometimes people would get a new kidney or whatever. The body would reject that organ. That the immune system suppose or must distinguish between self, and that is what is really belong to the body, and that is number one, and what a non-self, or what is known as a foreign, which does not belong to the body.
Yeah.
And once the immune system would mistakes between the self or non-self, like considering the self, our own, the body's tissue as a foreign, this is an issue. It means that this is the beginning of it would attack that tissue of the body, and it's like it's like there is something going, it's wrong, and something like it's expressing the imbalance there. So causing the autoimmune disease, and one of the autoimmune disease I would mention is rheumatoid arthritis, and also rheumatoid arthritis, and also diabetes type 2 is an autoimmune disease. Once the immune system will consider our own tissue as foreign tissues. I would talk about now briefly about the immune system, starting from the physical barrier, or what we call the mechanical. And number one is the skin. Skin is one of them as part of the our first barrier. Also, we have the cornea of the eyes, considered one part of the immune system, like protection.
Protection,
And
correct.
also, yeah, and also the lining of the respiratory system the digestive system, urinary system, and also reproductive system. Okay, these are all like protective lines, first lines of to protect our body or defend our body. Now there are certain secretions involved in these. They are also important, these barriers. For example, tears and eyes. Sometimes we have tears and eyes, and there is a dust. Nothing like crying, but dust.
Yes.
For example, this is like a reaction. It's very important because the tears contain actually enzyme called lysozyme. And lysozyme supposed to destroy bacteria that could be with the dust. So it's like this is defending and protecting the eye. The enzyme is called lysozyme. And also the sweat is one of them. Also we have the secretions in the digestive system and the mucus itself, because we know there is a mucus even digestive system, respiratory system, and even secretions, for example, reproductive system like the vagina. The secretion is also considered to be a protection. So this is the first part of the immune system. Now, if you go to the second part, and here we can just little bit, maybe later on we will focus on the vaccine, which actually dealing with this part, and that is the white blood cells. White blood cells are playing important and huge part and role in the immunity. And basically we call the white blood cells leukocytes. Leukocytes, that's the other name. What they do actually, from the name, they are white blood cells where they travel through the bloodstream into tissues. And they usually search, they are always there, like a police. They're always there. So they search for any, like looking for a job, any foreign body, it is there, so it will be attacked by them. Basically, there are two types. There is the innate, which means that are natural. This is natural immunity. We're born with it.
Yes.
And there is the other part, which is acquired. And here, when we say acquired, means we need to be infected to acquire that immunity, and also to get the vaccine. That's the other part.
Okay.
But if we talk a little bit about the innate, we're born with it. It is not specific. However, the immune system, the cells here would recognize that this is naturally, this is a foreign body. And actually, they don't require to be, we don't have to be like infected with the certain microorganisms, so we will have this immunity. We just have it. And there are two parts, actually. There are phagocytes, where there are interesting cells where they are ingest or engulf the invader. Once there is a virus or bacteria, they would engulf it. And also there is a natural killer cells. They're supposed to destroy the abnormal cells, cancer cells. The cancer, once it's there, naturally the immune system is supposed to see the cancer cells and destroy them. So something going on that the immune system can't see the cancer cells, because the cancer cells, they have their own way to mask themselves. So they will disappear. So it's like different mechanisms for cancer cells in order to survive. Natural killer cells, also they're supposed to destroy the cells that are infected by virus. So suppose there is 1-2 cells that are already infected by a virus. So these cells, the natural killer cells, supposed to, once they see these cells, they supposed effectively kill them or they will destroy them. So natural or innate immunity, we have what is known as basophils and neutrophils. These are also two types of white blood cells, and they're supposed to release substances that are inflammatory substances. They play important role. They know as cytokines. Maybe you heard about them, cytokines. And also there is the histamine. Of course, you heard about histamine. So once you have this, the runny nose and all this sort of
we get
allergies.
antihistamines.
Antihistamines. Antihistamines. So it's like it will work against the release of histamine, which would cause allergic reactions. Now, second one is the acquired immunity. And it's meant by the lymphocytes, it's a type of the leukocytes, type of the white blood cells. And they are met by two types of cells, B cells and T cells. And here we need to focus here now, because when we talk about vaccine, it is meant by B cells basically. Okay, so the philosophy or the process here is to encounter the invader should attack the body, like bacteria. Say if there is influenza or the coronavirus attacking the body, encounter an invader. So means like we are facing now the invader is there. They're supposed to learn how to attack it. Already they have information. However, in order to recognize that invader, they need to have a memory. So it can remember that specific invader, and so that they can attack the body, encounter it next time.
Yeah.
So it's like a series of events. First, T cells, the job of T cells is to invade the cell-mediated immunity directly, they're supposed to attack directly the infected cells, and they work together with B cells. Now for B cells, they release antibodies. Mainly we care about antibodies when we talk about vaccines in general. Antibodies, they are released once there is invader, which is considered to be, we call it in science, antigen. Antigen means foreign body. Like coronavirus is an antigen. And the specific antigen is the protein, if you remember. When we talk, they talked about that code. The protein code is the antigen. First, the vaccine was, they manufactured or they synthesized the vaccine by only focusing or synthesizing the protein, which is on the coronavirus, the envelope.
Yeah.
And once we have this vaccine, it means the real antigen, because we need to identify what part of the virus is actually causing it's considered as a pathogen. That's the way how we can put it. Which part of the virus is the real antigen? And it is the protein. So we need to take the protein, put it into the body. The body, now what will happen? These B cells and T cells or B cells, they will have, they integrate their work in order to recognize it. And once they recognize it, of course, I don't think maybe some people, they had fever or something. It's like a slight reaction. Again, it's maybe some people, I didn't get it.
Yeah. I also didn't get it. I didn't get it as well.
Yeah. So actually, they would recognize that envelope of protein, and once they recognize that they will start to secrete the antibody against that protein. And they will having this antibody also, they will create a memory. So once we are infected by the virus, no way that will affect us. So it will be destroyed by the antibody, which going to neutralize it actually. So I would mention carried out by mentioning the steps.
Sure.
Now we talked about the T and B cells, and that is the acquired immunity.
Yes.
Then we have the molecules themselves, which is cytokines and all this, antibodies, because they are molecules.
Yes.
They are molecules. They are, I won't say chemicals, but molecules. Also, we have the lymphoid organs. They involve in immunity, where we have a primary lymphoid organs and we have secondary lymphoid organs. And this is also important. Now, for the primary, they're supposed to release the white blood cells, starting from the bone marrow and also the thymus. And to me, thymus is interesting. Thymus gland is here. It's like in the heart. The heart here. It's like connected to the heart chakra, they call it. Thymus gland is interesting. It's meant by the immunity. It is the place where the T cells are getting mature. So maturation of T cells, which is part of the acquired immunity. Yeah. And it is, in science, it is like what is as a fact, it's getting shrinking. We have a big thymus gland once we are born and we are children. And with age, it is shrinking.
Okay.
That's what the science is, mentioning. However, to me, I have a different philosophy in this.
Do you think this is why, when they say they're shrinking, do you think this is the reason why older people have less immunization?
Yes, that's why. because T cells play important role in our body because they are meant to mediate, cell-mediate immunity, directly attacking the infected cells. In science, we've known that old people will have less immunity, and that is also related to thymus gland, which is, will shrink with aging.
Yes.
However,
Interesting.
what we saw, what I saw in Corona, like evidence to me, because some old people, they recovered from Corona. We can get Corona, it's okay. We get sick 2 weeks, for example. But at the end, we can get immunity. Why not?
Yes. Why
So the
not?
secret is recovering. That's why I always mention acute disease is okay. We get immunity from acute disease. But to us, chronic disease is the issue.
It's the issue.
Sometimes we need to get, there is a benefit of the infection disease. Of course.
True.
We will have stronger body if we especially if we are already have the healthy body again. So the lymphoid and the secondary lymphoid organs meant by spleen, because many people, they know about spleens, part of immunity. Lymph node also important. Also, the appendix is important here. So these are the parts. Maybe I gave not a brief even. Also, plus the nowadays it's like the stress is there and anxiety, which is reflected on our children.
Yes,
which actually play important to me. This is number one.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because when they say that, oh, you're stressed, the first thing, either you'll get influenza, you'll get something like a fever, something happens in your body if there's something external stress, or you've internalized that stress that is around you. Something
some
your
people
body
and some people they think it's normal. It's not normal.
It's not normal. Okay, let's move on to how the vaccine works to produce this immunity in our body. I would like to understand this now.
First of all, I would like to highlight very important information that also vaccine and also natural infection means getting the disease. Like a person who didn't get, for example, corona vaccine, because some people, they rejected to take the vaccine, and maybe they got the virus, and it's like natural infection. Both can trigger the immune system. However, there will be no pain, or maybe I would say there is lower risk by having the vaccine. Why that? Why is that? In general, because you won't be sick. You won't be sick.
Yeah.
So the vaccine actually involves the organism. Either in general, because there are different vaccines. There are different types of vaccines. But I would mention them in general. So, some of the vaccines, maybe the cholera would contain cholera, but weak cholera bacteria. It will be weak, where if we get it, the main thing is not the activity is dangerous. The active bacteria is dangerous. However, the antigen is there. So we develop, still it is foreign, the antigen is there, and that's why the immune system will develop the antibody or the immunity against the antigen. So either we can get the weak microorganism, for example, we can get also the substance, like in case of the corona, the protein itself, not the whole virus, the protein itself that would cause the disease. So this would induce the immune response when, especially the B cells here, which are supposed to produce the antibody, will recognize as I said, the microorganism or the antigen, and it will produce the antibodies. The antibody itself will neutralize the antigen. This is the way how it works. The beauty about antibodies that produce the immune system are disease specific. So specific for the coronavirus, and some of these antibodies, this is interesting, would neutralize, as I mentioned, the invader, or will create a memory cells also will be set up or relaunched once the invader is there. And this is a brief developed in our body.
So now we spoke also about briefly that when people get older, they reduce their immune system gets weak. They tend to get sick more often. And we discussed about the gland that produces the T cells, or that matures the T cells. Now I want to understand, is this really, immunization decline with age, or is it just we are talking about it and it's the stories that we've heard?
To me, no. To me, no.
Yeah.
However, scientifically, when I say scientifically, it means there is evidence, still evidence, because there is real and now real understanding, and we need to apply the tools of the opposite. Scientifically, it is well known that there is a duration, by the way, for each vaccine. That is well known that for influenza, it's for several months. So most the people, when that winter, comes, they would take
They
the
take
boost.
the vaccine, yes.
Yeah. Also, the opposite, there is a lifetime vaccine, such as the hepatitis B, for example. Some people, some
Go
regions,
and take it,
important
yeah.
to get
Yeah.
hepatitis B vaccine.
Yeah.
That's for vaccines that they don't afford a lifetime protection. It is recommended to take, as you mentioned, booster. However, if I go, this is for the immunization, because here it's not the immune, we talk about immunization. But I would say we shouldn't rely on this to have booster every time. If there is, because some people, they would run for this vaccination,
This vaccination, yes.
especially the influenza. So some people, it's like a program. They would
Yeah.
have fight or
Winter
flight
comes and I
response.
get a shot.
I
Yeah.
need to go and get this
I need to get a
vaccine.
shot. Yeah.
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 So shall we rely on this? That's the question. Are we really? Vaccine is nice. We are not, of course, vaccine. I appreciate, as
Yeah,
we
we're not
highlighted already.
yes. Yeah.
However, do we really need the vaccination all the time, and we need the booster all the time? That's the question. And is it really the aging is related to the decrease in immunization of certain, vaccines? I would say no. And because we know it's actually the reality behind this is the accumulated emotional stress again, especially with aging. And I believe that aging doesn't relate it to, the biological aging and all this, chronic diseases. Actually, it's the opposite. You would find this also again in the Elixir of Life book.
Yes.
Yeah, where it's the opposite. The
Yeah.
chronic diseases, because some people say they are young, however, they look old, and they would have some diseases like diabetes, hypertension.
Yes.
The reality behind this, they will age because of the disease.
Yeah.
Because of the disease, they will age. So
And that is
this
why
is
their
the,
immune system is weaker because of
yeah.
the diseases.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's why. So emotional stress actually is responsible for the decline of the immunization and also immunity, natural immunity with aging.
Yes.
Emotional stress. I used to have one person, she would have influenza every 2 months. It's not normal. And
No.
also many people, they would have this, influenza, maybe, I don't know what disease, but usually if we talk about not the extreme, not the chronic disease, would say influenza, pneumonia, all these sorts of diseases because of the emotional stress. To me, it's clear. So that is maybe the answer of, the aging, which is not related. And we saw that, especially in Corona, many old people also recovered from Corona.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Now let's get into one of the deeper side of this conversation, which is I
Yeah.
wanted to understand the reality of immunity and how is this reality connected to our immunization?
Thank you very much, because this is actually the theme of our talk. Number one, I would focus on the immune system, immune cells. All immune cells, by the way, they have receptors for the stress hormones, adrenaline, non-adrenaline, and cortisol. It is well known scientifically. The white blood cells, they have receptors for the stress hormones. So imagine the emotional stress, because some people, they consider also emotional stress to be normal, but they suffer from it. Living
Yeah.
in emotions means that the body would translate that emotion, those emotions, anger or whatever the emotion, and translated by the activation of the sympathetic nervous system. Fight or flight response. Maybe I will give it briefly. And
Yes.
that will cause release of the stress hormones that will bind to the receptors on the surface of white blood cells. So imagine if it's chronic and emotional, this will by time will decrease the efficiency of immune cells. So when there is invader, immunization, whatever, they will be too weak. 2 weeks to respond.
2 weeks to respond, yes.
Because they are already exhausted. So lack of efficient immune system is due to the emotional stress. I agree with food. I agree with everything that is, I would consider as matter factors to strengthen the immune system. However, number one, we need to set ourselves free from the emotional stress. So
Yes.
this is just brief about how we are connecting the emotional stress by translating this emotional being not comfortable in the mind and translating that by having these signals from the brain going to the adrenal gland and releasing all these hormones, and how they actually connect to their receptors on the services of the immune cells.
Yeah.
So this will decrease the immunity of the cell, of the immunity of the body. So here we can, even for our children, even the stress that sometimes we don't know, and there is no blame, we always mention that, no blame, because we don't know.
Yeah.
No blame, that we can create stress to our children. So yeah, that will make their immunity low. This will cause a suppression on their immunity. If I talk the opposite now, sympathetic, how we can increase, how we can strengthen and activate our immune system. This is important. We need to set ourselves free for emotional system and emotional stress. Many people would ask how. And again, going back to the same PMG. We need to be happy, to be honest. And here comes the parasympathetic nervous system, which actually, once it is activated with happiness and joy, we start to, sleep, have deep sleep, and we start to make up the immune cells, synthesizing immune cells, restoring the body is the secret, and it is activated by parasympathetic nervous system. So it's all inside. It's all inside.
Let's jump into the last question. I would say that if there is any recommendation that you can give to maintain this immunity against any infectious diseases.
Yeah, it's very clear. We are happy with the achievement, the humanity achievement, by having all these vaccines and developing immunization in our bodies against specific diseases. However, we have our also immunity, which we really we can strengthen by being happy. We already mentioned that by understanding our highest value. Some people, they would know it, they won't apply it. They need to apply it. And we need also to set ourselves, balancing the mind, balancing the emotions. Because many people, they would listen to the thoughts. They would say, oh, now I understand. And negative will neutralize with positive, like the antigen and the antibody. But however, they won't set themselves free from emotions unless they look forward. Because emotions like the blueprint, as we mentioned before, of the thoughts. So emotions will remain. However, if we keep working on the highest value and we have a goal which is clear, it's like we are working on our future. So I would say that we have the present moment. We need to use the present moment in order to plan and to work on future. So we want to live in the past, because most people, they live in the past. And here we talk about accumulation of the past events and the painful events and all this emotional stress, which will suppress the immunity. So this is the deep understanding of the how to actually strengthen our immunity.
What you shared today, it was quite eye-opening, quite empowering. So I'm sure that people who watch it now, either on your platform or mine, they will actually know the reality of immunity, what exactly it is, and what is the difference between creating a vaccination and immunity. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care, and thank you, Dr. Nada. Have a really good evening, and
thank you.
See you soon.